Most creators give up on content creation in their first year, and somehow I'm still here posting after 10. And I'm not still here because I'm immune to burnout. Trust me, I've had lots of lows over the past decade, and it's not because I have finally made it and get to do this thing full time. It took me 6 years to make solid money out of content creation, and I know there are creators who have had much more financial success than I have who still quit. I honestly think that the reason I'm still standing comes down to the concept of quitting literally not existing in my mind, which I realize can be a really easy thing to say and a much more difficult thing to internalize. But it's actually not about believing really hard. It's also about having a framework of sorts to back up the mentality. I tried to find some stats for how many content creators have made it to the 10-year mark and couldn't find anything. In fact, I couldn't find very many comprehensive studies that agreed on how many creators gave up after year one. But I did find a Medium article that said 73% give up in their first year, and a 2023 survey published by Creator IQ saying 60% of new creators stop posting in 6 months. So I feel like we can make some good hypotheses about what 10 years would look like. And I think there are usually 3 main reasons for why people drop off. First is the feeling of not being where you want to be. A lot of different things can drive this. Comparison, personal pressure that you've put on yourself, or just having very unattainable goals. But either way, it's this feeling that like you're putting in work, but it's not paying off in the way you hoped. The second I feel might resonate with a lot of multi-passionate creators, and it's the dopamine's gone. The initial excitement that drove you to start the thing, to do the thing, has worn off. You're not getting creative fulfillment from it, or maybe like shiny object syndrome has come up and something better has caught your attention. And third is just not knowing how to continue. Maybe life happened, or you got overwhelmed, or maybe you fell off because of one of the first 2 reasons, but you don't know how to get back on the horse. So while I have never quit, I have taken breaks long enough that outsiders looking in might think that I have. But when I look back on what helped me get back on the horse, so to speak, or allowed me to persevere, it was 3 things: planning, pivoting, persisting. For me, a plan is not a content calendar, but a compass. Without a plan, you'll be driving in circles until you run out of gas, and then you end up quitting, not because you wanted to, but because you're now lost without any fuel. And this is the stage where it's really important for you to establish where you want your content creating journey to take you. What is your measure of success? Where are you planning to go? And a very frank question that you need to ask yourself is, if all of your goals and your plans are around money, for how long are you willing to do this thing without making a dime? The next important part of planning is understanding the game, becoming a student of it. It's no secret that I am a chronic shiny object chaser. That is made very evident by my diverse digital footprint. But each venture I've done started with a lot of research. Now, don't get me wrong, I do know a lot of creators get stuck in their research phase, and that's a whole other conversation for another day. This is just gonna be some of my points to help guide your research so that you have some longevity in this thing. Don't just watch education channels that tell you what to do as a creator. Instead, do your own investigating and analysis. Study creators in and outside of your desired niche. Learn what different types of success might look like and what people did to achieve it. And I'm not saying you have to emulate all these different people, but when you understand that there are a lot of different ways to be a content creator, you can set better goals and make a better plan that extends further than just, I want to be a successful YouTuber. And then so after all of that, once you've accumulated all of your knowledge, you've set out a direction for yourself, you have to start putting in your reps and analyzing your own work. If you're being honest with yourself and being a true student of your own content, your own audience, your own strategy, you'll constantly be identifying ways to improve on your next piece of content, which will help encourage you to continue putting out future pieces of content. You know what they say about doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results, right? Yeah, that's where the pivot comes in. Surviving as a content creator means being willing to and knowing when to change your platform, your content, your approach. Have you been dreading creating content in your niche for months now. Is your target audience or the brands that you want to work with invested in a platform that is different from the one you're currently working on? Or on a smaller scale, are you putting out the same day in the lifestyle videos week after week, month after month, but not getting the views on them that you want? If I were still only doing hair content, I don't think I would still be here. And that's because of me, not because of the niche. I just know that I don't and didn't have 10 years worth of hair specific stories in me. I originally started my hair blog to document my journey trying to learn how to take care of my hair. And so once I found a routine that worked for me, the motivation to create in that category kind of dried up. I didn't feel the personal need or motivation to try new hairstyles every week or experiment with different products or making my own DIY concoctions. But because I had come to love creating content and I wanted to keep doing so, I had to pivot. I started sharing my skincare journey because I was really struggling with acne. And as time went on and I accumulated more interest in the beauty and lifestyle niche, my content pivoted accordingly. And since moving here to Hong Kong, I'm in the middle of a whole new pivot. Now be careful not to mistake shiny object syndrome for the pivot, because I've been there. That's how you end up in a bit of a rut. The pivot needs to be guided by your plan. You're not abandoning your direction, you're recalibrating the route. And know that sometimes, depending on what the pivot is, if you're pivoting your niche or your entire strategy, it may be slow and painful and maybe a trust the process sort of thing. Because often pivoting is actually an act of rebuilding. And if we're being honest, if the alternative is quitting, giving up because you're not creatively fulfilled or you're feeling stuck, going through the difficult pivot is the only way to continue. And finally, persist. Giving up is not an option. And I don't mean that as some motivational slogan. It literally has not existed as a concept in my mind to give up. Scaling down? Sometimes. Taking breaks? Definitely. Quitting? Absolutely not. On one hand, I truly just enjoy this so much. Like, we can't put this back in the box. This connection that I've been able to have with people, the act of having thoughts and bringing them to reality, the self-expression, the fulfillment. I literally don't think I could stop doing that. To be fair, I was like the 8-year-old writing screenplays for my brothers to act out in front of the family. So I guess that I've kind of always been pushing my unsolicited thoughts onto other people. But on the other hand, and this might be a bit delusional and I think we have to be with it, is like, even when I've taken really long breaks, it's never been a thought in my mind that I've quit or that I gave up. It was just a break. And I think that's a very important reframe for people. One of my longest breaks to date was the year I got married, and I blinked and literal months had passed since I last posted. But not a day went by that I wasn't thinking about content, that I didn't identify as a content creator. I'd be brainstorming still, planning, jotting notes down here and there, still capturing photos and videos, just at a much scaled down rate. And all of that is part of being a content creator. Even just the thinking part, the thinking about our content, is still part of this job. So even if I wasn't posting, I was still a content creator, just not a public one. So if you're somebody who has taken a step back from content creation for a season, remember that you haven't actually quit unless you said you have. A break is not an actual ending, no matter how long the break. And your return doesn't need to be some big splash. I know that I find myself falling into that trap where if I take too long off, I have to make sure that the video I come back with is really strong and really good. And if I can't come up with a really good, strong video, then I put off coming back even longer. And that doesn't need to be the case. You can come back slowly. It can be quiet. It doesn't require a big announcement. One video, one post, just show up. Persistence isn't going all in and then burning out. You have to be able to pace yourself so that you can do this sustainably for a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20, hopefully well on into the future. Find a frequency or a rhythm that works for you in your life. Posting once every couple months still counts. But again, you have to go back to the plan, because if your plan and your goal is to be this massive creator and you're only posting once every 2 months, then there's a disconnect and you're gonna get frustrated and quit. So it all has to piece together. So plan so you know where you're going, pivot so you can adapt when things need to change, and persist so so you're still here when everyone else has stopped. And just to show you that the journey isn't always bright and shiny, give this a watch if you're feeling stuck or overwhelmed. You're not alone. I've been there. Thanks for watching, and until next time.